Alrighty, welcome to the Jersey Boy Show. We have a special guest today with the ASUN Commissioner, Ted Gumbart. Welcome to the show, sir. It's good to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll have something to share with your listening audience that at least can entertain them, if not inform them.
Sounds good. So obviously your Twitter has been kind of blowing up a little bit lately. You've gotten a big following, it seems like, and that all kind of started with the rumors and then eventual news of NJIT leaving the ASUN for the America East. So the one question I think a lot of people want to know is what's the future of the conference looking like? Is there teams that are kind of on the bubble of joining, or any rumors in that regard that you know of?
Well, I always know lots of rumors, and if people want rumors, they can go right back to Twitter and find out. All you need is someone to say it, and it becomes a rumor. But I'll tell you that the ASUN President's Council considered the deal with NJIT. In fact, we had an agreement with them, and we wanted to work together as they had an opportunity, and this COVID environment certainly made it something that we should certainly consider, the distance of travel and how that would work. Well, we looked a couple of years down the line and figured, you know what, that's probably a better home for them. And we would not have come to that conclusion to release them if we weren't confident that we would remain sound and actually have options to add. So I will say that if we choose to be 10 for the 21-22 season, then we will be 10. Or 12. I mean, the whole thing is it a fit? And as you probably heard, timing is everything. So yes, there's interested schools. We continue to explore different options about how to be the best conference home to the current membership. And if we can do that, then we will attract others. And there have been some that have reached out and say, hey, you know what? We like what the ASUN's doing. We like the direction, and would like to have a conversation about the future. So yeah, we're very confident, and that's just not the commissioner talking. Our President's Council would not have released NJIT only on the spirit of being a good guy. We wanted to be sure our conference was sound and that we would be able to attract new members if needed. And of course, as Jersey boys, you know all about NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. So anyway, it's been great. I really enjoyed having the league. It was a tremendous experience. A lot of folks got a trip to Newark, and their old baseball stadium, as you were in the press box, you could see the New York City skyline, and that's a pretty cool place. If you've never been there, New York City, that is, a lot of the folks in the Southeast that maybe are playing in the ASUN, they got a chance to go there. So for that experience, good for them. And so yes, the ASUN is strong and sound and has a great future.
So you said the New York skyline. Mike, have you ever seen that skyline before?
Oh, yeah, of course. Plenty of times. I'm right by it. Oceanside, Long Island. So I'm about 30 minutes from the city.
There you go.
All right, so you're a veteran city goer, and you won't fall over looking at the buildings, but you're there to catch the folks that might, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking, let's say they do leave, right, which is probably most likely going to happen.
Who's they?
NJIT. Do you think it's more likely for us to replace a team into our conference, or do you think it's gonna or do you think we're just gonna stay without a team?
Well, I'll tell you, the way we look at it is, number one, NJIT is definitely moving to America East. That's been approved and done. So we know we're going to be 9. And historically, to just say, oh, that's the group, we're 9 forevermore, is not a reasonable presumption, because change will occur. So the biggest question is, okay, what's the next change? Are you guys going to be 10, or are you going to be 8? If you just talk about one school. And I would say very directly that the next move is going to be 10, not 8. and the next move might involve more than that. But we certainly continue to look for the best ways to strengthen the conference. We keep those lines of communication all the time open. And as I said, I think we're very confident that as change continues to evolve in the collegiate landscape, that we are in a position to attract members and grow, and certainly can't see around the corner or into the crystal ball, but that's what experience and the current intel leads me to believe.
Absolutely. Right. So you said that there's a couple of schools that are interested in joining the ASUN. Are you able to disclose who those schools are, or is that confidential information?
Well, it's confidential, but for you guys, I'll just tell you, two of them, university and but you know, there's more. There's more than that.
I'm breaking that down.
Yeah, break it in. See, tell me what you said if it was anything. Well, you know, as I respect you guys as legitimate media representatives, I have to treat you as I would treat any media representative, which is to give you the line: we do not discuss membership issues. If we have a public statement to make, we will make it. And unless and until we have anything to publish for the entire media, we would not comment on any engagement we may or may not have. And you have to always say that, because if you only say that when you're talking to somebody, then that says, oh, he denied it, so they're definitely talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas if I deny it all the time, you know, I just say, hey, we don't talk about that. Yeah. But to ignore the environment today and both the medical pressures that COVID-19 has brought, it also brings a larger stress factor on finances. So costs become very, very much more important. And the footprint, you know, of conferences, you know, we're pretty tightly packed now with NJIT moving out. You know, we used to be all over the place. We used to be called the Trans America Athletic Conference. And that wouldn't be an asset now to be all across America. It's just not feasible. But we do feel like there's, you know, some really good options, and we'll look forward to how the future unravels, because there's going to be more realignment. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you don't have to worry about us being the overly nosy media. We're just a couple college kids that are curious. You don't have to worry about us pushing your buttons too much. But one thing that I know a lot of people have looked at, and obviously the biggest sport, there's no denying it, that the biggest sport of the ASUN conference is basketball. And being a mid-major conference, every year we participate in what some call mid-major madness with our conference tournament. And most conferences have a neutral site for their tournament. However, we are one that is hosted by campus sites. And some like it and some don't like it. Is it being hosted by campus sites like this year, Liberty? Is that around for the long haul, or is it possible that soon the conference could move to a neutral site? And if so, where?
Well, I'll answer that based on the history of that issue. I've been with the conference for, I don't know, I can't count that high, since 1991. So what's that? Am I in my 29th year? Something like that.
That's almost 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say. You get old. They say first thing that goes is your memory. And the next two are, I forget. But seriously, based on context, the issue of playing on campus has been really good for us. We've set multiple records for attendance. Playing the quarterfinal round, where everybody gets to be, 4 teams are at home, and they get to have a home crowd that they earned the right to have by performing in the regular season, and that all of those games are on an evening, a 7 o'clock slot. We don't have any 1 p.m. neutral site games where, let's be real, in the ASUN, if you know, Liberty was playing North Florida and it was at some neutral site on Thursday at 1 p.m, a lot of fans would say, well, I can't take that many vacation days. I don't want to spend an extra night in a hotel. I'll wait till they win Thursday and I'll go Friday. And because then Friday, the games are at night, you go to work, maybe you take off a little early. So that Thursday day, other than the one game the host or the local team might play in, is really not a good financial decision. It's not a good experience for our student athletes. And our student athletes, anyway, to this point, have said we would much rather play in front of a crowd, even if it's a crowd rooting for the home team, not for us, than play in an empty gym where the sneaker squeaks are the loudest thing you hear. So for us, it's been good financially. It's been good for attendance. And it is a self-sustainable model. We make enough off the tournament to pay some travel for the schools that do have to travel. It's better academically because half of your schools are staying home and they're in classes. And for those that have spring break, it's something that doesn't affect their ability to say, hey, whether we host or not, our fans, our students anyway, are not going to be out in force because school's not in session. So I would say for those reasons, it makes a lot of sense for us. And the last thing is we get a couple of games on ESPN, the linear program. We get all the rest of our games on ESPN's digital platform. But the eyeballs are the most during March Madness. I mean, that's when everybody tunes in and, it's the best part of the season. So if you're going to have your best audience and we're at a neutral site and the wrong teams advance to the final, and wrong teams being mostly the ones from the farthest away or a lower seed, and we've got 1,500 people sitting in a 7,500 seat arena, that makes you nervous as a commissioner. And then you say, hey, bring ESPN on. Yeah, come on, put it on TV. There's nobody here. Well, we solve that if we go to the higher seed. And it doesn't matter. UNF hosted it, sold out. FGCU hosted it, sold out. Liberty hosted it, sold out. It just Lipscomb, same thing. And it's such an awesome experience. If you haven't been able to be at a campus where they are playing for the championship, to bring that to Lipscomb, to bring that to UNF, to bring that to FGCU has been so much fun. So I would say that it's well supported and makes a lot of sense. And as anything goes, all subject to change.
Well, I can guarantee you this: as long as there's tournament games at Liberty, no matter what arena we're playing in, we will pack the place, as long as COVID regulations allow it.
That sounds good, Joey. Hey, let Panaccio get in there with a question.
Yeah. No, I was actually gonna say a little bit more. You have to be realistic too. Like we're obviously not Liberty isn't one of the largest schools out there, and you have all these crazy huge schools that can support these neutral site games. You get large crowds, and we're smaller. So to be realistic, I don't think it would be the smartest to do the neutral site games,
I do know. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. It makes sense. And we try the decision-making process when you're in a representative governance where you have people from 10 schools or 9 schools now, and you're trying to come to decisions that we get into different viewpoints and different opinions. And really, when you boil it down and say, hey, let's first do what's right by the students, and then you say, okay, now we can talk about what's right for the fans and what's right for the schools and what's right. But if the students say, no, we'd rather play in front of a crowd, that makes sense to me. So we try to do that and stay with what makes sense. Don't make it too complicated.
Exactly. And then also, I was thinking, so with the whole COVID-19 thing coming up and people thinking that there's going to be a second wave, what do you think it's going to look like for the football season, all these other sports in the fall? Do you think some schools are going to sit back and stay online and going to confuse everything? Or do you think we're going to have empty gyms playing sports with no audiences? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, that is a great question. And if I had the answer, I'd probably be doing something else other than being on this podcast with you guys. But I would say the fact that there'll be a second wave is, I believe, yes, there will be. I believe that the technology on testing will continue to improve and get cheaper. So what's this, June 16th? That by July 16th, we'll know a heck of a lot more. Call me back in a month and we'll see if we know more. And then, August 16th, talk to me then. So there's a lot that still is going to happen. And in the end, I believe we will learn how to exist with the virus rather than try to separate us and not go on with activities, because we're going to have to. I studied economics in college, and I follow the economy globally and nationally. And if we don't return to a closer facsimile of normal economic activity, then there are going to be huge repercussions and consequences globally. The U.S. economy drives the global economy more than anyone else. We've got to have the economy running, or there's going to be much more, life and death matters that are going to happen. And that's just my personal opinion, that we've got to learn how to separate folks that are either carrying or sick with the COVID virus and, keep them away from the rest of us in a prudent manner. But the rest of us have got to continue on. So I think the scientific world and the doctors and the medical folks will continue to make progress. I think we just need to listen. Let's pay attention to the experts. People ask a commissioner, when do you think we're going to play? I'm like, hey, I'm going to listen to the medical experts. I'm going to listen to the presidents. I'm going to listen to the administrators. And then they're going to listen to the student athletes. Because if the presidents say no, we're not playing. If the medical people say no, we're not playing. If the students say I'm not playing, we're not playing. So, and then every school has their own administrator. So I'm pretty far down on the list. And if the commissioner says, no, we're not playing, and everybody wants to play, well, I'm sure they can find another commissioner that'll say, let's go play. So realism is part of it, but I think we'll find a way to do it. I just don't know whether it'll be September, October, November. And, you can operate a safe campus a lot better than you can have a safe soccer game, because you're on top of each other. So we'll see, but I hope and have confidence that that necessity is the mother of invention, I've heard. So the pressure's on, and I think good people, it's like, hey, we've got our best people on this. So I remain hopeful.
Yeah, me too.
That's all you can really do is kind of hope sometimes. I mean, it's an uncertain time, and it's anybody's guess what school will be like in the fall or athletics in the fall. I mean, it's just crazy times. But I guess my next question for you is, I know at Liberty there's a lot of fans that we like traveling to see Liberty on the road. I don't know if you know, but when we played Lipscomb over in Nashville at the end of the regular season, we had a trip of about 40 students that were able to go. So is there any way that the conference itself is able to help out students and fans to be able to travel a little bit cheaper or lower the expense costs so that they can see the teams on the road? Because obviously, especially with NJIT being gone now, Liberty's kind of the furthest away from everything, with everyone else being in Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida.
Well, I'll tell you two things. One, I think we're getting to the end of the podcast. So after I answer this, we got to flip it over so I get to ask a few questions. And then as far as things we can do to make games more accessible and accommodate the traveling squads or the traveling fans, that we have been in tune with that. In fact, at one time we had what was called a mirror schedule, where if the men were at home, the women were on the road playing the same opponent. And, that didn't work, because if fans wanted to go to the game locally, they couldn't watch the game that the other gender was playing. So we changed that, and we're looking at our schedule. In fact, I got a meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk about some of these things. that Saturday games, maybe they should all be in the afternoon, so that, if you have a game at 7 o'clock at night, that might be better for the crowd. But if you're traveling from the other school, it might be nicer to play at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get home, save the extra night on the road. You don't have to necessarily be overnight to do that road trip. And I think one thing we need to be aware of is whether or not we're going to have fans. We're going to have one in every 6 chairs or one in every 10, and how that affects the way we conduct our business. And one of the things we're going to probably start putting some new teams together on our staff. And one of the teams will probably be fan engagement, because we need to pay attention to that. And if we put an at-large delegate on the fan engagement team, we know you guys have had some really good success getting people out at your Liberty games. So maybe we'll take a nomination for an at-large delegate, and you guys can play rock, paper, scissors and see who gets it.
That would be fun. So,
all right, can I
what
ask you guys a
questions for
question?
us? Oh yeah, go for
All
it.
right, here's the questions for you. And since Joey got the homework assignment, I'm going to let him have a pass on this and ask Michael. I said, can you tell me what you know about Frankie Valli?
Oh, nope. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
You're going to have to take that one, Joey.
All right.
Well, I looked it up and I saw that the Jersey Boys were, it was a movie from a couple years ago about a band that was from Jersey Shore, I believe. And Mike, you should know it's a few Italian guys.
Oh, no, I know, but I didn't do my homework like you did.
I guess, I don't know, was I supposed to give Mike the question too, or was it strictly for me?
Oh, no, I just wanted to make sure if you guys are going by the Jersey Boys, you better understand that there was a movie called Jersey Boys, and that Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons were the focus of that. And then it was a Broadway show, and you ought to at least know at least one Frankie Valli song. So you guys can make one of those songs your intro, so that as you build your show, you can play a little Frankie Valli coming in, knowing that you're the Jersey Boys. Or I'll give you a second one, musical recommendation. You have to finish the name of this band: Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes.
Yeah.
And so go listen to Southside Johnny. We're having a party. And maybe you can use that as part of your intro music.
Will do.
So good. I'm glad I had a chance to meet you guys. I guess I saw you at the game, since I was at that championship game and was down on the floor with the president at one point. So they were asking me to campaign to cancel classes. And I said, well, wait till the tournament and then cancel them. And that sounded like a good idea, but that was your spring break. So everyone was like, oh, man, Commish, you bummed us out.
And then we didn't even get a tournament.
I know. What a bummer.
No.
That does stink.
That was at the top of my bucket list, was finally going to March Madness, and I didn't get it. But another thing that was on my bucket list was getting to storm the court at a college game, and I got to do that. And let me tell you, that was like a great moment. That was, especially beating our rivals. I can't stand Lipscomb, so that felt really good.
Well, that's pretty funny. And I will say that we all need to have a bucket list, because whatever you project to be, all the things you want to do in your life, every day's a gift, and none of them are guaranteed. So, hey, let's do what we can today. Let's be a participant. Let's engage, and let's not leave it till tomorrow, because as I said, every day's a gift. You don't know if it's coming or not. And so with that being said, I'll thank you guys for having me on. I'll be glad to visit with you again sometime in the future. And thanks for being engaged, for being fans, and for giving me a chance to join you on the Jersey Boys show.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. If next time you're in Lynchburg, just shoot us an email, and we'll meet up for lunch or something and talk some more. But it was great having you on, and thank you for your time, sir.
Absolutely. And think about a good pizza place. I love pizza. And so if you got a good pizza
Really
place
good on campus, it's called Woodford.
All right. That sounds good.
Thank you, sir.